Meet Donna Adelson from Coral Springs, Florida. I want to hear all about you, Donna. Let's go.
Well, I'm a domestic coordinator.
A domestic coordinator?
Yes. I'm responsible for the activities, classes, and lessons of my son Robert, who is 16, Charlie, who is 12, Wendy, who is 10, my husband Harvey, who's in the audience, and my dog Sam.
All right. And how old is Sam?
5.
5. Well, good. Give him our best. Nice to have you here. And this is vowels worth nothing. Consonants are going to be worth. Can we get 800? We can. All right. So I'm writing on this. Again, person is the category. Stu, still your turn. Letter, please. L. Nope, no L. Donna.
M.
Yes, there are 2 M's. Let them come up. You have 5 seconds. Person. Alan. K. Yes, K.
Mustard maker.
Nope,
Mustard
still
maker.
Stu. H, please. Yes, there's 1 H. Time starts now. Person. Donna.
F.
Yes.
Mischief maker.
Yeah, that's.
Nice.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay. How is everybody? Would like to talk today about adoptive admissions. What are they, and how what Donna didn't say could hurt her. So yesterday, I didn't realize, even though I actually used the word adoptive admission when I was talking about the hearing for Donna Adelson, it got brought up by Georgia Kappelman, this issue of adoptive admissions, that we really were talking about using the jailhouse calls. Rashi was saying he didn't want to use the jailhouse calls, and Georgia Kappelman talks about adoptive admissions. So I'm just going to share with you that part. Actually, I guess, I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to explore what they are, and then we can go back and hear Georgia Kappelman talk about them. Here is the king of the cold cases, DA John Luanne, talking about adoptive admissions done by Robert Durst. Take a listen. This is my interview with him. Bob Durst was upset about his portrayal in All Good Things for one reason, about the dogs. Why was that important, and how was that helpful to you?
Well, what's very interesting about Bob Durst is that as much as he lies consistently about so many things, there are also things that he is very truthful about. And to some degree, that explains why he was successful in Galveston, in addition to other reasons we've discussed. But I think that jurors would look at things Bob would say and how, in some ways, honest he was about what a terrible person he was. And they would say, well, if he's admitting to X, but he's denying Y, maybe we can believe him. So here's what happened with the situation with Igor. When he saw it, he was genuinely and sincerely angry about it. And the reason.
So Igor is the dog. It was Bob Durst's dog, just so FYI.
He was angry about it was for one simple reason. It's not true. Bob did not kill any of his dogs. Bob loved his dogs. And so Bob's reaction to seeing it portrayed that he had killed Igor, it wasn't as if Andrew asked him, "Hey, Bob, is there something you don't like about what's going on? Is there something that really disturbed you about the movie?" And then Bob said, "Well, I like this, but I didn't like this." Bob literally watched the scene, and without any prompting, he looks up and he goes, "Now, Andrew, that I do not like." And that's because his sincere reaction was, "I didn't kill Igor. Why are you saying that?" Now, what Bob doesn't think about, and what somebody who was more self-aware and just cared more, because Bob's very smart, Bob just doesn't care. But most people would say, "Gosh, I should probably object to the fact that I'm being portrayed as having personally or through somebody else murdered 3 people." So it's kind of like when somebody, accused you says, "Hey, listen, you murdered 7 children and you had sex with a donkey." And the person goes, "I did not have sex with a donkey." Um, okay, probably good you clarified that. You probably also would have wanted to say, "Hey, I didn't do any of those things." So the reason Bob responded that way was because it was a true response to something he did not do. How did it hurt him? Well, it hurt him for the reasons I've just said, because everybody understands that if they were accused of crimes like this, portrayed as having murdered 3 people, they would be incredibly upset. They wouldn't be sitting down with the director saying, "Everything you said was pretty much true." So anyway, that's what I think happened.
And there's a legal term for that too, right?
A legal term.
Adoptive admission?
Yes, correct. And it's a legal term, but it's based on what I just said. The idea is if somebody accuses you of having sex with a donkey, you're going to go, "No, I did not do that." And the question, you look at it and you say, would a person in that situation reasonably deny what happened? If they don't, then it's an adopted admission. Obviously, Bob Durst was not exercising his right to silence. He was not being examined by the police. He was not saying, "I won't talk." He simply chose what he would respond to and what he wouldn't respond to, and he didn't respond to that.
You had 200 pages prepared. Okay, so there you go. So and I think it's a really interesting subject when it comes to Donna Adelson, who's been taped more than maybe any, I don't know, any case that I've surreptitiously been taped more than any suspect, accused person in a murder case that I know. Maybe Charlie comes close. And you notice that she'll say, "It's not me. You have me confused with someone else." But she never says, like, "I hope they find the right person. What did Katie have to do with all of this?" She seems to know a lot. So adoptive admissions don't have to do with just rejecting information. They also have to do, like, if you talk to someone as if they'd done it, and they don't say, like, "Hey, yo." And we'll listen to Donna's weekly protesting. She never says, "I don't know anything about this." She just says, "It's not me. It's not me. Been talking to my friends." And we'll listen to it again with kind of clearer eyes. And also, they're talking about adoptive admissions when she's talking about fleeing the country. And she thinks that the line has gone, and first she's talking about ending it all and then fleeing the country. But she never says, like, "Because I don't want to be falsely convicted like my son." And you notice that when Charlie's talking about his trial, he never says that, "Wow, Katie should have been up here. Why wasn't Katie, prosecuted for extortion? It should have ended with Katie. I had nothing to do with this. I wish I'd known." You know what I mean? Both of them talk like guilty people. So I had a fun time yesterday listening to the jailhouse calls, and excuse me for being late today. I was dealing with the t-shirt people. So there are new t-shirts out. Let me see if I can. Maybe I'll do it on the break. I'll show you my new t-shirts designs. But what a hassle just dealing with this stuff. Like, wasn't connecting to my YouTube store. My store wasn't connecting to YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. It's also boring. I'm sorry to even bore you with it. And we'll get into your comments in a minute. But here's Donna Adelson's court hearing. Here's Dan Rashbaum talking about how he seems most concerned that Charlie's comments about the Tallahassee and Donna's comments about Tallahassee being such a hick town, et cetera, all the disparaging comments about the jury and Georgia Cappleman shouldn't come in, but really without sort of a clue that really what they want is that phone call where Donna's saying, I'm going to flee. And we'll listen to it in a second. But here's the argument that was done in court. And here's Georgia Cappleman talking about adoptive admissions. It's a little bit of a longer clip. I'm sorry to have to punish you with some rashiness.
For any of these things.
Well, as to subprongs 3 and 4 of number 4 of the defendant's motion in limine, I will grant that. As to prongs 1 and 2, I will give additional consideration to the argument that's been made. I will reserve ruling as to those subprongs from now.
Thank you.
Let's move on to prong 5, jailhouse recordings.
So I think this is pretty straightforward, Your Honor. We're not suggesting that Donna Adelson's statements, whatever recordings they might use, and we have to look at the recordings, obviously, we're not suggesting that Donna Adelson's statements don't come in, but Charlie Adelson's statements don't come in. It's hearsay, and it's certainly not in furtherance of a conspiracy. This is after his conviction. So we're only talking about, let me be clear, we're only talking about jailhouse recordings after Charlie Adelson is convicted. So there are recordings in this case that I believe the state intends to use. I don't know, where there is a conversation between Donna Adelson and Charlie Adelson. Donna Adelson, provided they meet other requirements, Donna Adelson's statements are not hearsay. They're statements of a party opponent. It's an exception to the hearsay. It's not hearsay, but Charlie Adelson's statements are just black letter law hearsay. They're not in furtherance of a conspiracy. It's after his conviction. I don't know how they could be in furtherance of any conspiracy. And some of the statements are inflaming.
Are any of these in any way tied to this issue of travel as consciousness of guilt?
Some of Charlie's statements, no, I don't think so. I think they're tied to, well, I think there are statements where Charlie is talking about his trial, and Charlie is talking about why he believes he was convicted, and Donna is responding. The way she responds, I think, is allowed in. She may then respond in part about travel. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're using, but Charlie's statements are not admissible.
Right. State response.
These are statements against interest that are made by Donna Adelson or are adopted by Donna Adelson in a conversation on a recorded line. We're not going to be able to extract one voice out of a conversation and only play half the conversation.
What is the subject matter of what you seek to admit in this way?
Well, we're talking about a few things. One call is the open line call, which I think Your Honor will know what I'm referencing. Maybe you're going to have to listen to these, but there's a call where Charlie actually,
one application.
Yes, Charlie actually drops off the call. So we would want to play a few statements of Charlie just to show, like, this is what's happening. It's a call where he's dropping off. She's, continuing to talk in the background. So I'm not sure if that's the one we're talking about or not, since Charlie's not really featured on that call. There are a couple other calls where the nature includes some of the talk of fleeing, relocating, committing suicide and those types of things. So maybe those are
Right, but it's nothing around Charlie. I mean, good for Rashbaum, I guess, but he seems totally misdirected as to what he thinks they're gonna want to use, I thought. But maybe he's just making sure that they're not included.
calls that need to be provided to Your Honor to make a decision.
That would probably be best before I rule on this.
Yes, sir.
Also, as to this point, and I believe there already is a standard jury instruction, as it relates at least to law enforcement and a defendant's interview. Is your argument essentially this goes to the context of the call?
Yes, context, admissions, context and adoptive admissions in some instances, yes.
Very well.
There you go. Did you guys hear that? Context and admissions and adoptive admissions. So I thought that was super, super interesting. And we can listen to the jailhouse call, and we will in a few, to hear what Donna doesn't say and how that can hurt her in the context of it. So before I do, hey, Dean Walker, nice to see you. Thanks so much. Let's get into your comments from, we talked about Donna's hearing. I was going to call it Georgia Kappelman's hearing. Let's get into your comment, shall we?
We got your comments. We got your comments. You had something to say. You were insightful. Oh, so clever. So Roberta's going to read your comments. Hey, Roberta, read those comments.
Okay. KCLP6WG says there's no way in hell Donna is going to be able to remain subdued for the duration of her trial. She is filled to the brim with arrogance and hatred. I wonder what it will be like when Wendy and Charlie have to testify. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the drama of this case, is that you have co-conspirators or family members testifying against each other. I mean, that's just one element of many that are so fascinating about this case. This is a kind of family you don't see often on trial for this kind of thing. And I hope that she loses her demure demeanor. Make it more interesting, don't you think? Boss Lady 325 says Donna has gained a ton of weight. To be honest, to me, she looks a whole lot healthier. A lot of you said that. She looks better. It's every day on my way to work, I drive by the women's jail here in Leon County. I smile, can't lie. So you think, Boss Lady, hey, Donna's in there? Is that what you're thinking? A lot of people said it's hard to look at her with this. Her hair's grown out gray and then it's sort of blonde at the end. She's so uncoiffed from being a woman hyper aware of appearances, and her phony public persona was everything. Surface things were everything. Money was everything. To have that all stripped away, I think, is more the essence of what was so shocking. And it didn't really come through. And the first thing, she still had the good hair and the good glasses and had the attitude. The first hearing we saw, the last hearing she was in court for a year ago. So this was very shocking, I thought, just to see her. And I think you're right. It's not that she looks so terrible or old. Certainly her face work is holding up. It's just that all her props are swept away. Sandy Banks says it's apparent that Donna's several months in prison has institutionalized her to a degree. She knows she has to behave with the guards around. Yes, it is shocking to see what happens to people who once thought the laws and rules didn't apply to them, and now they realize they do. Yeah, that's kind of the essence, at least for me, of it, is to see her handcuffed, shackled at the legs. And there's this one point at the end of the hearing where she's talking to Dan Rashbaum and smiling, and she kind of looks up at the guards like, don't take me away from Rashbaum, kind of in fear a little bit. I don't know, Society page. I was listening to the live with Katie Kool-Lady that he did yesterday. He seemed to mention a moment where Donna looked like really pathetic. I wondered if that was the moment he was thinking of, or another moment where she can kind of turn on the feel sorry for me, pity. So let's get into the most famous of the jailhouse calls with Charlie and Donna Adelson. So just starting in, I think this is a fun part to start right before it, where Charlie says, well, we're hoping that a juror stupidly writes something on social media. That's the best. That's what a best an innocent person can hope for, is some kind of juror mistake. Wouldn't you be saying, like, I'm dying for Katie to tell the truth here and come out with a whole story of extortion. I hope someone, or maybe Katie's friends who extorted me, will finally come forward. Someone will come forward and clear me. Wouldn't that be more the conversation of an innocent person? But here's what Charlie says.
Okay, there's Bree just checking in with me. Okay.
I talked to Dan.
Yeah. Then.
He's like, and he's working hard. He's still in Tallahassee. I thought he had left. Staying here an extra day, I guess, to write up.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, if they open up an inquiry, they ask the judge.
Okay, good.
The investigation. You know, he said, listen, maybe the kind of thing is 9 months from now, the juror writes something stupid on a blog, and they investigate and they find out, like, and then they find out something, and they're able to open it, and then it could possibly lead to an appeal. You know, I basically got the judge let a lot of stuff in to the case, and he did that because he didn't want them to appeal. You know, the harder the judge rules, I guess there's more appellate issues that can come up, like if that guy, Hankerson or whatever. You know, I guess the harder the judge rules on issues that are in the trial, the more likely there is to have an appellate issue. If the judge is in favor of the defendant, the more likely there is to have an appellate issue.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So my general feeling, this is just my feeling, I'm not a lawyer, but my feeling is that he ruled, if anything, he gave us the benefit of the doubt because he didn't want there to be an appellate issue.
Yeah. Is that what Dan thinks?
Well, I mean, he made that comment to me that the judge ruled in our favor a number of times. You know, he let him bring stuff in. And I either said it or I heard it, that he meant it, that there's not going to be, let things say that we're done wrong. I mean, you have to either say that.
Donna's so funny. Is that what Dan said? Because if Dan said it, it's gospel. It's gospel. My wonderful Dan. My Rashi. I love my Rashi. And then, of course, Charlie has to admit, yeah, Dan said it. I'm just repeating what Dan said. I'm just parroting what Dan said. Funny.
The judge could tell me didn't give you your due process. You know, if you didn't do anything improper, like, what's your reason for wanting to do trial?
If there was an appeal, would it have to be in Tallahassee, or can you move it? Because I don't understand why they wouldn't let you move the venue. I don't. It was blatantly, I mean, look, I have, I didn't say this to you before I picked up the phone, but there's a lot of things that we have to do, and we've got a very tight time frame. So one of them involves taking care of some things for Roman, taking care of some things through Steinberg. Dad's been on the phone all day, and Susan was nice enough when I called her. She said, I'm going to gather everything up and I'm going to drive down. So she and Rick got here about, 10 minutes before you called, so that she could work with us, because we got a couple of hours of stuff to take care of for Roman. So working on that, and just a lot, but you're going to be okay. You're going to get out of that stupid room. Once you do, you'll start to feel a little bit better. I know that. And when I have something that I do need to tell you, I'll speak to Dan. Okay? So then I'll let you know what time to call him. Can you hear me, Charlie? Shit. You can't hear me again, right? Charlie, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Someone needs to do a parody of "Can You Hear Me, Major Tom," the David Bowie song with Donna there. Charlie, can you hear me? Charlie, can you hear me? Oh, yeah. But basically, she's saying that they're getting everything in order to flee. This will come in, definitely. And when she has something to tell him, she'll say it through Dan, because she doesn't want them to overhear her plans to flee. So meaning she's going to say something to her counsel. She doesn't say what, so that should be able to come in. But there's a little admission that knows that she's doing something that she doesn't want Tallahassee law enforcement, DA's office to know about.
I'm sorry, the fourth time that they cut the line each time. Have to pay for every minute, but they keep charging every time you reconnect. They say that doesn't happen. Listen, it's that he's in this room that so the psychologist, they want to make sure he doesn't kill himself. So the psychologist finally came, and he said to her, "If you leave me here, I'll kill myself. There's no light, no nothing. I'm in a cement block. Let me go back to myself and see where I am. Rest of me, please don't leave me here." And spoke to him for a little bit. And she said, "No, you're perfectly fine. I know that. I just have to go back and I've got a few of these reports I have to write. Once I get those written and then submit them and then get them approved, you'll be able to go back." So he thought he was going back like in an hour, but said,
How does that take an hour to do? He thought that was an hour to write a bunch of reports, submit them, and then get them approved. He thought that would take an hour. The entitlement of these people. But of course, what bothers Donna is not just the hassle of being disconnected. It's the money. Always the money with this family. Money reigns, rules supreme. They haven't They haven't figured out I used to talk about this a lot with this family, but they haven't really discovered what's really important in life. Love, connection, real love between family members, but it's all money, status, all the things that don't matter. Maybe Donna's getting a lesson in it now in Leon County Jail.
She better get that thing done because I'll lose my mind in here. It's just all spirit on the inside. So all you see is yourself. The lights never shut off, day or night. These fluorescent lights, he says, are on all night. He said, I just want to go back where I was. But at least I know people. I can see people. He says, here, I'm in a box. So he's just. What? I'm sure he'll pull back or just keep getting disconnected. I didn't even know if they were drinking. They want to buy Coke, water, nothing. So I think very tight. Because I could have what? But I don't want to. You know what I want to do. But it's not very close to those. I think it would be a nice way to just leave you alone and say goodbye. I am not your friend, so.
Right. Because she thinks she's going to go to prison. Would an innocent person think that they're going to go to prison? An innocent person would say, I'm going to fight these charges. I mean, I hope they don't convict me like they falsely convicted my son. But if they will, I'm going to try to prove my innocence. And if I could prove my innocence in court, maybe it would help Charlie, right? Charlie's case. But instead, she wants to flee. Get where I'm going here? She wants to flee. Wouldn't you think that? Maybe that would help unravel Charlie's case. Instead, she's like, I'd rather just die or leave the country to a non-extradition country where they can't get me. Do you see why this was the most important thing that they decided on in Donna's hearing, was this consciousness of guilt element, whether they could bring this in? It's so damning to Donna. And I'm sure when they caught wind of it, they were like, thank you, Donna. Thank you, Donna, for giving us one of the biggest pieces of evidence against you. This is all coming in. Because up to then, what do you have? You have Katie's testimony. You have Luis Rivera's testimony. You have a lot of good evidence. You have the emails to Wendy, etc. You have the background. But this is basically like a signed confession. I did it. Love Donna. Love Donna. I did it. I did it. I arranged a murder. I did it. That's what this is. And she's got friends over helping her close everything up. So they can't say like, oh, we thought about it and changed our mind. There is no good defense. This is why Rashbaum loves to talk about the legality of her fleeing. Like, she wasn't arrested when she fled to there. Yeah, exactly. She was fleeing before she got arrested. That's why you flee. You flee before you get arrested. There was no grand jury convened. Yeah, you knew the grand jury was convening on the 16th. You had your plane ticket for the 13th, and you were on the jetway, feet pointed towards the airplane, ready to get on that flight. There wasn't any second guessing, deciding not to. Sure, it was all legal, but things hadn't come down yet. Wasn't like you were indicted and you were fleeing the law. Right. But that's not the point. You knew this from Dan. There's no grand jury convened. So stupid. His arguments are such Such a way a lawyer argues, but okay. He doesn't have much, to be fair to Dan Rashbaum.
No, I can't push it. I'm not that strong. And I also know how he is a year ahead. His body and everything just slowly started to deteriorate. I'm old. I have a life. We had a great marriage. Happy, we traveled, we lived good. I was really not unhappy. And I'm more than willing to just say goodbye and let me lie down. It doesn't painful. I just want to go to sleep. We bought our
It's not painful. It's not painful like prison. Harvey wasn't on board with this. He's like, we'll do it together. Other people, I've actually read, other people thought she meant Charlie and she would do it together. I'm convinced she's talking to Harvey here. But let me know what you think. I know other people thought she was talking about she and Charlie, but Harvey's like, I'm not really on board with that. How about Ho Chi Minh City? Let's get on a plane and go.
cemetery property a couple months ago. We're good. I'm good. But when did you this weekend? Because I said something that made her feel like I had enough, and I'm not going to watch. If the trial doesn't go well, I know what I need to do.
If the trial doesn't go well, wouldn't you say doesn't go well? Wouldn't you say if the jury doesn't see that my son is totally innocent of this, they falsely convict him? Notice they never say the word falsely convict, falsely accuse. They need to hang out with Josh Dubin more. He'll get them with the right vocab real quickly. I was convicted for a crime I didn't commit. Get them with a wrongful conviction movement language real quick.
Now, you know something was wrong because we lived here 9 years. Yeah. She's never once just come over and said, I need to talk to you. I'm sure. Probably. Make sure this all take long. She sat down on the couch right there. I was sitting here, and she didn't say, "Look, Mom, this is a horrible time for all of us. Charlie's on trial for his life. We're all aggravated. But if this is what you're thinking, just sat there. And she said, "Look, you're suicidal. I'm going to take her extra." So I said, "I'm not suicidal. I'm fine. I'll see the boys tomorrow night." We did. We did on Sunday night. She said, "Yeah, great." Now, am I suicidal? No. Do I want to go to sleep and not see my son? I do. Perfectly honest, I do. And we'll do it together. We'll do it together. Leave a note. They'll know when to come and get us. And we'll do it together. So, the boy.
Which is really interesting because most of these mothers, but because she was involved, I guess this stops it. But most of these mothers who have guilty sons, because she's guilty too, will just go into complete denial. He didn't do it. And I know they talk a little bit around it, almost as if, but it's so weakly done, as I'm pointing out in this episode. That's kind of the point of this episode. Usually these mothers can't handle the shame, but it's her shame too. It's her burden. And she's been living with this for years and years and years. According to June Mchinda, she can't sleep. She can't eat. She feels Dan Markel's haunting her from the grave. That's what she told June. So if she's looking good, prison might be a relief. Might be a relief for her.
Look, got to make a decision at some point. So after speaking to Dan this morning and knowing what they're thinking up there, and I don't know if we'll make it out in time. I really don't. But Dan said, you might, or you might do all of it, get to the airport, and they'll stop us. And that could happen. It could happen. I don't know, but it's worth a try.
Yeah, I really think she thought they were just going to like stop her and be like, you got to hang around till the grand jury. I don't know if she thought she was going to really be arrested, or if she was going to get arrested. I think Dan had told her a bunch of nonsense like, hey, we'll just bail you out. No problem. You'll get bail. Not for murder, I hear, in Florida. No bail for that. They don't have our bail reform laws here that we have here in New York. But you get how she's basically saying she did it. This will all come in, and I think Georgia Cappleman's arguments will be much more well thought out and succinct than my own. But it's all very bad for Donna, all this stuff. And of course, there's the undercover. I'm going to take a quickie break, a minute break. When I get back from a minute break, we're going to listen to the undercover call and hear Donna's weak denials and her adoptive admissions in those. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a minute.
We're gonna take a break. Grab a snack or maybe a glass of wine. Roberta will be back in no time. This podcast is listener supported, so smash that like button and subscribe, or become a patron for exclusive content if you are so inclined. Have something to say, shoot Roberta a super chat. She will do her best to read it all there without delay. Now Roberta's back and ready to put the true back in true crime. Here's Roberta.
Okay, so the t-shirts, in addition to my glorious wolf in sheep's clothing logo that you see here, available now on a variety of items, mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts. We have the Donna Adelson, the Donna. Who doesn't want a Donna Adelson kosher style t-shirt? Pepper is now like the first on our block with one. She bought one. There's also coming soon. I gotta make this work. A Wendy kosher style t-shirt, and I'm not sure if I can figure out a way to sell this, but I'm not sure YouTube will let me. But oh wait, you can't see it because it's the black background. Oh darn it! It says Wendy for prison. Darn it, because the letters are black. I got to work on that. That's a flaw, I think. Fatal flaw in my design. But I'll work on it. I'll work on it, guys. Anyway, that's coming up. Those are some of the designs coming up. But you can definitely get the Donna and my logo right now. Those are the two things in my store connected to my YouTube channel. Also a link in the community tab to each. You can support the show that way. Appreciate it. So, bullseye face over Wendy. Funny. So, okay. Let us get into Donna's call.
I am taking you seriously.
Hold on one second.
Hello? This is Mrs. Adelson. Is this Sanny? Sanny. Okay. My grandchildren had my phone before, so I'm Mrs. Adelson.
My grandchildren had my phone. I didn't have a time to talk to an undercover about the murder that I did because my grandchildren had my phone. I'm sorry to delay talking to to my extortionist about the murder I committed. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. My grandchildren had the phone. I didn't get to talk about the murder I did. What is that? I mean, that's what she's saying, is she's just a grandmother. But okay, Donna. So absurd.
Yes. My grandchildren had my phone before, so that's, and I just saw that you called.
Oh, okay. You left the message on my voicemail.
Does it come up extortionist? Does it come up MURDAH? Does it come up TV? TV5? What does it come up? How did you program Sammy's number into your phone? My grandchildren had the phone.
Right, I did.
Yeah.
This is my problem. You approached me on Alton Road. You handed me an article from the newspaper about my ex-son-in-law. You told me I need to call you and help your friend who was in prison. Now, at the time you did that, I didn't understand what you were talking about. I didn't call you back. Then you mailed me a threatening letter. Then you send me a text message to my phone that says I'm not taking you seriously. So I am taking you seriously. And I really want you to listen to me. I have to tell you, I mean, this is important. I have been so stressed out. I have spoken to 10 or 12 people who are close friends of mine, telling them about this and basically picking their brains and asking them what I should do, because I don't know your friend who is in jail. You mentioned a name. I don't even know his name. I never spoke to him. I don't know what he looks like. I've never met him. I'm sorry your friend's in jail, but I don't know what that has to do with me.
You know exactly what it has to do with. You know exactly what. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me. You just got to listen to me.
You need to.
I'm sorry that your friend's in jail. Your friend's in jail. This is also something that killers do. Like, they'll say, well, what should happen? They'll say, this gentleman, like people who fake like home invasions will say, this gentleman came into my home, or this man, not like this horrible, huge, disgusting, filthy human being. You know what I mean? Filth of a human being. This, I'm sorry your friend is in jail. The friend, because it's a friend to her, right? That committed the murder. She would think of him as a friend. Sorry, your friend is in jail. Your friend. It's really a family member. I think that you put it out. You took care of him. Sorry, your friend is in jail. Which is, you know what I'm saying? Sorry, you have someone in jail, needs your help, but this is about Dan Markel's murder. Police still haven't totally solved it. I think you should go to the police, or I'll go to the police. So stop calling me. What do you know? What do you want to know? What do you know? Tell the police. Let's get this thing solved. Because you can't solve it without including Donna. So obvious. And Dan's going to play this as like the crown jewel of his defense, because she says it wasn't me, so weakly.
Who this person looks like, what their name is, something, because I know there's a big reward out there, and if you need money for your friend, that's the way to get it. I mean, I'm asking you nicely. I don't know who he is. I am out of the loop. It is not me. If I can help, I would help.
Right. It's not me. I'm out of the loop. That wasn't my part of the murder. I just arranged it. I just arranged the TV hit. The language is so telling in this. And it's more and more shocking every time I listen to it. I don't know how you guys feel. I wasn't part of that. That was Katie's job. Charlie knows who these people are. I don't know them. I'm out of the loop. That's what she's saying. So she's talking on two levels. She's trying to, if it is someone connected to this, she's saying this wasn't my part of the murder. I didn't know. It was all compartmentalized, excuse me, so that I was kept away from that part. But if it is the police, she'll say it's not me. But she doesn't know these people. She didn't know who these people were. She just knew they were friends of Katie's or connected to Katie. But she didn't know who they were. She didn't know them intimately, never met them. She's right in that respect.
I mean, that's what.
Just like I told you, listen to me. Just like I told you that day, we know that your family had a problem up north. We know that problem was taken care of about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And we know that Katie has been taken care of and has been taken care of. Now my brother in jail, we were in Broward together. He told me the whole thing, and he hasn't been taken care of. You know. Now, all that's being asked for is 5K. That's all we're asking for is for 5K. And he told me everything, and I know everything. I know who's involved. I know everything, and I'll get the 100K for myself.
You know,
all I ask is to send the 5K. Everybody knows what's going on.
I don't, you know, you're saying everyone knows. I know I lost my ex-son-in-law. I did not have anything to do with it. That's why I said, ask him what.
That's what my brother Tasso told me. He told me everything when we were in jail. He told me everything and who was involved. I know everything.
Well, I don't. That's the problem. I'm telling you, it's not me.
Right? It's not me. It's not me. Here's where she gets afraid that it's the police. I didn't have anything to do with it. Wouldn't you be so scared you would hang up immediately and contact the police? Would you be calling them after your grandkids are done with the phone?
It's not me. I have had a year of aggravation, a year and a half of aggravation over this. My daughter, my grandchildren. It is not me. And when I asked my friends, what do they think? They said, well, this person needs to get a description.
Right. I wasn't part of this murder, right? And you notice when Charlie's asked on the stand, I wasn't a part of it. I wasn't a part of it. Very vague. This is kind of like the vague language that guilty people use. They don't say, hey, I didn't plot or plan this murder. I didn't do anything. You have to find the right person who did it. It's not me. It's not me. What does that mean? It's not me. You have me confused with someone else? Someone else who knows these people? Because she doesn't know these people. Oh, this will be played. Georgia will have a field day with this. Trust me.
Of you, because of what you look like, or it's not me. I don't know who caused it. It wasn't me. I mean, I don't know.
This is my favorite part, though. I don't know this. I mean, basically what she's saying is like, I don't know this Tuto, Tato, whoa. I don't know who you're talking. It just cracks me up every time.
I'll tell you, just like that day when I talked to you, this is not going away. This is not going to go away because Tato told me everything. He wasn't being taken care of. He needed the 5K. Spent 5K. That's all we were asking for. Don't do that.
I don't know who Tato is. You don't understand.
We know you don't know who Tato is, but you know who Katie is. And you know the contacts Katie has. Okay? You know who Katie is. And you know that Katie has some.
Wouldn't you say Katie's wrapped up in this? Katie? My son's girlfriend is wrapped up in this? Wouldn't you be shocked? What is Katie had something to do with Dan's murder? What? Wouldn't you be shocked? Wouldn't an innocent person be shocked?
Somebody that knows Tato. And they took care of a problem for you people. That's just the bottom line. The bottom Katie is, do you know that they took care of Katie and her people? Nobody's taking care of Tato. I know you don't know who Tato is.
No,
But we know who all of you are. And this ain't going away.
you know what?
So I can give you that, you want to spend the 5K?
Here's what you need to do. You need to go and.
Don't tell me what to do. I know what to do and I'm doing it.
You're looking for money. Get $100,000 or whatever what do you call it? Whatever the reward is. It isn't me. You have got the wrong person. That's why I said ask your friends.
You're Donna Adelson.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Well, I know. We know who's involved in all this.
Yes, this is not making any sense. I mean, if you want the money, you should get it from the police. They can give you a whole lot more than you're asking me for.
Right? We know that you're involved in all this. Dead silence. There's an adoptive admission.
The money for someone, I can't do this. I have had too much stress.
It's too much. It's too stressful for her. Not that she's innocent. It's too stressful for her to deal with it, to deal with this kind of paying off the killer. It's been a year and a half of stress, worrying about the police coming down. And she can't deal with more stress of paying off the people that murder Dan Markell for her.
There's too much aggravation from this, and I don't know what you are talking about. I just don't know. I just don't know.
Good. I think you should talk to Katie. Talk to people that are involved in this. You'll know. You know what's going on.
That's why I'm.
You can tell me. You know that. But I know you know. Because I know, because I heard, when I was locked up in Broward with my brother, Tato, he told me everything. Everything. He told me everything.
Well, then
I just wanted to take care of with her fucking Pluto.
I just think instead of asking me, you should get the money from the police. There's a lot of money out there, and I know if you think you know who this is, then go ahead and do it, because I know it isn't me. I know it isn't me. And I can't take this kind of level of stress. I just can't. I know I didn't do anything.
Right. Famous didn't do nothing. She didn't do nothing, guys. I mean, that's why it's such a meme, didn't do nothing. It's because it's the vague language where you don't have to say exactly what you did do. You may not have done nothing, but you did plan a murder. A murder.
You talk to people, you talk to the right people, you talk to people, you make this 5K come to me. That's all I need. Just do it and get it to me.
That's a good point. Right. My boyfriend's going, why didn't she just hang up on the guy? Exactly. Why didn't she go to the police? Why isn't she terrified? Why isn't she terrified? These are killers she's dealing with. And she's having a conversation, arguing with them, asserting dominance, trying to assert dominance over the undercover cop. It's bizarre. This thing, I can never get enough of listening to it. I know I played it a lot on this channel. But it's a fascinating call. I find it fascinating.
Do it and get it to me.
I'll call you back.
Okay, so here we have Donna making the call.
Correct.
And she refers the undercover to get the reward, to the police to get the reward, right?
Yes.
And then does she also report these incidents and what's been happening to law enforcement at that time?
No, ma'am.
Does anybody report these incidents and what's been happening and the stalking and harassment that's been going on? Does anybody report that to law enforcement?
No, not at all.
Do we have any evidence that Donna Adelson recorded that call with the undercover?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So she recorded the call, but never handed it into the police. I think that's a little preview of what we're going to see at Donna's trial. She never handed it in. And I'll call you back. That's my favorite part of it. I'll call you back. I'll call you back. I want to stay in touch with this killer. So I'm going to end this show the way I end so many of my shows, with a victim impact letter. This is from Catherine McManus' case, her second trial. Dear Honorable Judge Wheeler, my relationship with Danny evolved from a friendship with his sister Shelley during the time that Shelley and I were law students at Osgoode Hall Law School in Toronto, Canada, in the mid-1990s. Shelley went on to marry a childhood friend of mine, Ian Friedman, and through that union, I became acquainted with other members of the Markell family, Phil and Ruth and Danny. Although my primary connection to Danny was via his sister, over the years, I developed an independent relationship with him. We would often discuss current affairs, politics, law, Judaism, and Israel. I value deeply these intellectual journeys, and my thinking was enriched by them. Once I moved to Israel in 2000, my interactions with Danny became less frequent. Nonetheless, we always found time to meet during his periodic visits, where he often came to teach or lecture at one of the law schools here. I also had the good fortune of hosting Danny on several occasions in our home in Jerusalem for Shabbat, the Jewish Sabbath. Danny loved the tranquility and spirituality of this day of rest, and we would often diverse issues and sing traditional Jewish songs around the dinner table. We would often discuss, diverse issues and sing traditional Jewish songs around the dinner table. During one of his last visits to Israel before his murder, he taught me and my family a beautiful melody to one of those songs. We sing that song to this day and think of Danny each time. During one of his visits, he told us the pain he was living through in the wake of his divorce from Wendy. He also shared his anxiety about the future and how the divorce would impact his boys, whom he loved more deeply than anything. During another subsequent visit, he told us of a new love, of the love he had found with someone else and the hope he had for a brighter future. I learned of Danny's murder late one afternoon while working at my law office when Danny's brother-in-law, my friend Ian, called with the news. I still recall the sickness that penetrated my being and how I spent the remainder of that day in a dazed state of shock in a Jerusalem park. It was inconceivable that Danny was gone and that he was taken in such a horrific manner. As months and years passed, Danny's absence was felt not only by me and my family, who had gotten to know Danny during his visits to Jerusalem, but it was clear that his absence as a brother to Shelley, a son to Phil and Ruth, and the only brother-in-law to Ian was deeply painful. Perhaps even more cruel was that Phil and Ruth, Shelley and Ian, and their children were prevented from having any interaction with their grandchildren, nephews, and cousins, Danny's sons. This ongoing pain was often communicated during conversations I had with the Markel family, which also forced an abiding belief that justice would one day be done in this case. Nothing can bring Danny back to us. Danny was a unique individual. He was a person who lived life, loved and felt deeply, and radiated passion. He had a light and presence that shone brightly in the world. He had a penetrating intellect and cared deeply about making the world a better place, about justice in America, and about the well-being of the Jewish people. He was taken at his prime. It is impossible to know the ultimate contribution he may have made to his community, country, and to the world had his light been permitted to continue spreading. In the Jewish tradition, our ancient sages taught that whoever saves a single life is considered to have saved the world, and whoever destroys a single life is considered to have destroyed the world. Danny's world was destroyed, and our world was dimmed when his light was extinguished. For the countless people all over the world who knew and loved Danny, all we can hope for now is that justice will be served. Yours sincerely, Daniel Green. Okay, please hit the like, subscribe to the channel, share this episode, leave me a comment, and I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night, everybody.
What a stitch you're in. You plotted a murder 'cause you wanted to raise your daughter's kid. Tallahassee is just a stop on the way to civilization. Miami is where all the fancy people are at. The TV is a Power 5. You can't get away from that. Two-toe, tay-toe, hoo-ho, you know the guy you pay, and you can't get away from that. Oh, Donna, what a stitch you're in. You thought jail was just for the little people, but now you're so blankets with the locked-up crew. You're a grandmother-in-law down, and your one-way ride to freedom you blew. What a stitch you're in. Your family are exiled from the social circles you swam in. We all know you never made that banana bread or offered to babysit for Dan, but you'll soon be making license plates and thinking about what could have been. Oh,